And if you want a little bit more of a solid signal, hello everybody and welcome. Come on over to YouTube. Hello everyone and welcome to welcome, what are words, to vocal biomechanics, singers as athletes and how to perform at your peak. Welcome to the live today. I love talking vocal mechanics and vocal science. Good to see everybody here. For those of you new to me, I'm Carrie Cole, celebrity and holistic vocal coach, artist development expert, A&R director, music mentor. I'm the founder of CCVM, a label services company specializing in the creative artistic side of music, voice, vocal arranging, artist development, branding, songwriting, marketing. We also have a pro songwriting team, and artists come to write and record the album of their careers with us and find their sound and direction. So a quick announcement. Today I am talking about biomechanics, but a quick announcement before I get started. If you want to make serious strides with your voice and music this year, come and learn my Cole vocal method used by Grammy winners. So this is a serious vocal technique that gets deep into the biomechanics of the voice and gets immediate results in half the time of other techniques on the market. And I teach this inside the Vocal Freedom Circle, which started this week. You can still get in. We still have a few seats left. And in just 3 months and 20 minutes a day, you will experience a vocal transformation. So this program is for all singers at all levels, all singers, songwriters, musicians, producers, vocal hobbyists. All genres are more than welcome. This is perfect for anyone who is seriously looking to up-level their vocals. So come and join us now. And when you register, you get immediate access to class 1, and you can start watching right away. And you get the foundational piece of the Cole vocal method, which is over 70 exercises, again, based in vocal science and based in biomechanics. So we're going to talk biomechanics today. So let's dive in, and then there will be a little time for questions at the end. Hey, vocalies, good to see you. You know I love your throat spray. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So the biomechanics, and just for vocal ease, always on my desk. Little plug for you. Biomechanics, singers are athletes of the small muscles of the voice and breathing, and singing is an athletic event. Dr. Peek Wu, an internationally recognized otolaryngologist, clinical research scientist, and author of the Stroboscopy, said that the physical effect of a 45-minute vocal performance is equivalent to a 2-hour football game for a linebacker. So the impact of a live concert and the strain on the voice is irrefutable. Like athletes, it is imperative that singers train, or they're going to inevitably end up with injuries or issues. And you can avoid all of that. You can avoid all of that to keep your voice in top performance shape and to avoid strain and burnout. You start by strengthening your core voice with vocal health techniques that will create a strong and healthy instrument like my Cole vocal method. For those of you on Instagram, I just want to point out for a moment, come on over to YouTube. It's a much more solid signal. We are having issues with Instagram. We don't know how to fix it. We were on the phone with Meta. We don't know how to fix it. So we stream simultaneously on Instagram and YouTube has more solid signal. So back to the subject of biomechanics and performing at your peak. So it really is the health-driven vocal technique that addresses the biomechanics, and so that and the vocal science of singing, the mechanics of your voice, how your voice functions, the vocal production that will keep your voice healthy and performing at the top peak really for your entire career. At the peak of my performing career, I sang for 8 hours a day at the top of my voice without losing my voice because of the technique. So I'll be honest, not any technique or training can get you there. As a singer myself, I had natural talent. I could sing, but I didn't have the control I wanted. And when I joined a rock band, I was having trouble projecting. And so I immediately went to training to learn how to sing correctly so I did not destroy my voice, right? I know that's a concern of a lot of artists. I know it can be tricky, especially when you're singing night after night. And I know also that when your voice is not holding up well, when you're getting hoarse at the end of your performance, it keeps you from performing. It keeps you from opportunities. It keeps you from going on tour, or, because you're afraid that your voice won't hold up. So anyone who is professionally singing, anyone who wants to sing, who wants to improve the quality of their voice and have the confidence and consistency to perform regularly without having problems, this technique will get you there, because this is based in biomechanics and vocal science. So most techniques, I do want to say, focus on sound over mechanics. I'm just going to pause for a moment. Most techniques focus on sound over mechanics. So most techniques manipulate the sound to make it good. I call it window dressing. It's making the voice sound good on the top, but it's not addressing the core mechanics of how you make sound. And therefore, it may sound good on the top, like, it looks good in a window, but the mannequin is shaky or foundation and is about to fall over. Okay, so we don't want to manipulate the sound, throwing the sound here or there, or using the lips to get brightness, or pushing the sound forward into the mask. These kinds of techniques are secondary techniques to the primary core mechanics of the voice. I don't use a lot of those techniques because when you fix things in the biomechanics and in the physical voice, we don't need to do those things, right? So we don't want to manipulate the sound and use funny sounds, right, for our core technique, because that will actually can contribute to causing vocal problems down the line. And I've worked with many singers who come to me from other coaching systems who had nodules or were experiencing hoarseness. I've had singers come to me where coaches were telling them to sing louder. They wanted them to project, but the coach didn't understand the core mechanics of the voice and the health of the voice. So it's extremely important to get the right technique under your belt. It is no joke to perform for a living. And so we really want to do it correctly. So let me talk a little bit about how that all works and why it's important. And then I'll talk about the cold vocal method and, how you can learn it and how I teach it and that kind of thing. Because the voice is an athletic endeavor, right? We are using air and muscle in a coordinated effect to produce our voice. When we have to sing higher, louder, faster, we have to use more breath velocity, right? When we use more speed of air, that speed of air comes up and hits the vocal mechanism here, right? And tends to push it upward. So in training, we learn how to have a deeper bed for the larynx. It's called either laryngeal resistance or laryngeal compression. And we do that through a series of techniques that set up the environment for those muscles to be in those motions, right? You'll never see a really good trained singer lifting their chin. Their chin is always down. They're freeing the back of the neck. They're not grabbing the back of the neck to sing, which causes early fatigue in the voice, causes problems with reaching the range, causes problems with vocal production in general, and will burn your voice out. You might get away with it a little bit here and there, and I see some professional singers doing it who haven't trained. So don't be fooled by that, but know that that burns your voice out. So those singers are dealing more with early fatigue than they need to, right? When you see a really good trained singer, their chin is down as they're going to hit that high note. And we want to, in the biomechanics of it, a lot of it has to do with when the vocal muscles are sitting in a deeper bed, they have more resistance against that increase in air pressure, or just against air pressure that's coming up from the lungs to produce the sound. So air comes up from the lungs, hits the vocal folds, vibration occurs, the air moves the vocal folds and vibration occurs, and then the voice is resounded or resonates in the cavities of the throat, the head, the nasal cavity, and the chest, and everywhere that sound rings in the body, right? And I always use this bell because it demonstrates the head. So imagine your head like a bell. And when this area is really tight, right? Because you don't know how to take the pressure, how to handle the pressure correctly in the trunk of the body, and you're using the throat muscles and they tighten up. Well, then you're muting the voice and you're constricting the sound of the voice, and you're wearing out the voice because you're overusing these muscles, right? So back to this bell, if your head is like a bell, if you're tightening the muscles surrounding, it will be muted. If you release those muscles, it can ring and resound in the cavities, right? So vocal, it happens all the time. It really does. It has a lot to do with it. It is the biomechanics. It is how you make sound, right? And when we make sound, let me just head on over to my YouTube to make sure that I can see where the chat is over there as well. Okay. If anybody's over there on the chat, I think everybody's pretty much on Instagram, but yes. So, and that's because a lot of singers don't train. Singers are either afraid of training, they're afraid it's going to change their sound, or they have never found the right training. Because to be honest, la 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 and me don't work, because we need to learn to use the physical body, right? So we use the body from the trunk to the pelvis to support the sound. So Navin, that's a good question. It's a much longer answer, but a quicker answer, because you really need to learn. You really need to learn how to use the voice. You need to study technique, because otherwise you're piecemealing it and you're not really doing it correctly. And you might get a little bit of a result, but you're not really going to get the full benefit of the result. But the first thing that we want to do is we want to raise the chest. So we want to lift the chest up towards the chin. And I demonstrate this a lot. Most people's heads are slightly forward and their chest is dropped. When the chest is dropped, you will sing from the throat. Okay. When the chest is lifted, watch what happens here and watch what happens in the back. So most people are forward. We're on our phones, we're on our computers. We've got this forward motion. We've got a slightly dropped chest and pronated shoulders on top of that, right? So watch what happens to the back of the neck, back here, and to the connection between the chin and the chest. And notice how when I have a slightly forward head, how my chin is up a little bit. So notice what happens when I lift the chest and bring it closer to my chin. Watch what happens in the back here. So this lengthens, right? And the chin sits up. And that's the more ideal posture, because the pectoral muscles are the first muscles that anchor the laryngeals. And without any anchoring, these muscles are by themselves. You're going to sing from your throat, in particular when the chest is dropped. And most singers, when they're singing, there's a motion like this. Watch my chest, right? There's a motion like this. Ah, ah. Just sing ah right now. Put your fingers at your chest. Raise your chest, right? And just sing normally. Don't try to control anything. Do you feel a little drop? Ah, especially if you sing a little bit louder, right? So that the most bodies, the majority of singers that I've worked with over 38 years from my studio here in New York, these are all very common things. These are the first fundamental things that we have to fix, right? Because when we make sound, the body thinks that we have to push the sound out there, but really we want to pull the sound this way. Ah, ah, rather than ah. You hear what happens? I'm tense. I'm pulling from the back of my neck. Now, initially, so this is just a little lesson in biomechanics, but initially the back of the neck helps, but it doesn't work long-term because it's muting the voice, because it's contracting. There's a lot of reasons. And some of the reasons are it's muting the voice, but it's also pulling the palate down. So the soft palate, which is right here inside the mouth, the roof of the mouth needs to raise, right? When we sing well, it's lifted. But it's a muscle that is an involuntary muscle for the most part. It moves on its own. In training, we learn the motions. Within my Singer's Gift warm-up is the place to start, guys, or come and join my Vocal Freedom Circle and learn the technique. And in 3 months, you'll learn the technique. Come and do it. Like, if you're really interested in this and you want to have an amazing voice and you want to be able to blow people away with your voice and you want to be able to sing long term and know what you're doing, come and join our Vocal Freedom Circle. We just started last Wednesday. You can get immediate access to class 1, start learning the alignment. And then in class 2, we get into diaphragmatic breathing. We start with Singer's Gift warm-ups. And then we move into my voice, into vocal therapy and health. And then we move into the voice building. So you learn the complete system. So if you really want to learn it, go and do that. Okay. And I've organized it in 20-minute practice sessions. So you get all the exercises on audio and video, and the videos are 20 minutes so that we alternate these sequences so that we're really touching all the important points. But most of these things that I'm talking about today, as we sing higher, the chin tends to lift up. As we sing higher and louder, the chest tends to drop because we're thinking of pushing the air out there. But in an opera singer, you will never see that. You will never see them drop their chest, and you will never see them lift their chin, right? Even when they're singing those super high, hard notes, because in the biomechanics of the voice, the actual alignment is extremely important. And it makes all the difference, back to our bell, between muted or free, okay? So that's the little lesson in biomechanics today. Let me see if there's anything else. Why don't you guys put questions in the chat? And the cold vocal method was based on 40 years of vocal research and science. It's a technique I was blessed to learn, and I've been teaching and perfecting now for 38 years. So, instantly as I started to use this technique, first of all, it was a system. It's, a specific set of warm-ups, a specific set of vocal therapy, cool downs, and conditioning exercises, because as you sing, the voice swells. So, and then there's voice building, and then there's fundamentals, and then there's an entire library. And we're actually starting a vocal coach certification program at the end of June for the first time. So we're starting that series, and the Vocal Freedom Circle is a prerequisite to that. So vocal coaches, you'll find a link below on YouTube here. Just click that to get on the wait list for that. And let me see. I don't know Miriam Arman. Anybody else have any questions? I tend to find I get louder when going extra high in full voice. Of course, Navin. So the harder that the vocal melisma or sound or tone of higher pitch, louder volume, more of a flurry, whatever is more difficult, you're going to end up straining on those moments naturally, because it takes more physical strength to do that, right? But in the cold vocal method, what we do is we strip away what we call the compensatory muscles, the muscles that compensate for the lack of strength. When you haven't trained in a biomechanical technique like this, you haven't developed the core vocal instrument. It's like an athlete. And when you haven't developed that core vocal instrument, you don't know what you're capable of. You haven't experienced the full capacity of your voice. So I can take an average singer, a breathy singer, and turn them into a world-class, award-winning singer with tone as they're walking through the method, right? Because it's learning how to use the vocal muscles correctly, strip away the compensatory muscles that are compensating for the sound, grabbing the jaw, grabbing the tongue, grabbing the back of the neck, that mute the instrument and cause problems, learning the correct alignment, and then getting to the core vocal muscles and then building strength in the core vocal muscles. The stronger you are in your technique and the stronger you are in your core vocal muscles, you won't end up straining because you know how to sing correctly. Does that make sense? Okay, any other questions for me? Use me. No, I don't. Okay. Get my brain on your questions. Within the cold vocal method, we address the root biomechanics and core of the voice that builds the vocal strength, the correct vocal production, the healthy vocal production, and we build the legato line in the overtone series that builds a rich and resonant and resilient voice that is healthy. It's a healthy, integrated singing voice. As I said, for those of you new coming on, when I was at the peak of my vocal performance, now I'm running a label and a company and a label and doing all of this stuff now. So I'm not at my peak performance level, but my tone, is there, right? I don't have to worry. I've done all that work. It's there. My endurance is down right now because I'm not in training. I'm not vocalizing on the level that I need to for live performance for my taste, You know, I can go and perform easily. But what I'm saying is when I was at the very peak, I could sing for 8 hours at the very top of my voice. And I was often in recording studios, in performance without losing my voice. And that is directly related to learning the correct vocal technique that has within it the healthy biomechanics of the voice, learning how to use the voice. It's not rocket science, but it's sophisticated and it is very specific. Most techniques, as I talk about, are manipulating the sound of the voice on the surface of the voice, which to me I call window dressing. So dressing it up the way the voice sounds, making the voice sound this way or that way, but not addressing the core vocal muscles and the foundation of the voice, which is weak. No amount of window dressing can make up for a voice that is weak in its foundation, in its core. The cold vocal method is like an Olympic training for the singer as an athlete. Yes, Ophelia says, I'm singing softly. I use my mouth to sing softly, but I read it should be softened instead with the abdomen. Oh, that's very complicated. I mean, that doesn't really make sense. The abdomen, so when you're overusing your mouth, now you use your mouth when you sing, obviously, but when you overuse your mouth, you're tightening these muscles. Again, back to the bell and muting the instrument slightly, right? So that's a secondary technique with the mouth that I am not a fan of. I use it in a different way because I want all these muscles open and free. The trunk of the body, from the collarbones down to the pelvis, are engaged. So my abdomen is engaged, my intercostal muscles, the 28 muscles that wrap around the ribs, my ribs are very engaged because they have to go out for the diaphragm to go down. You're going to learn all this, Ophelia, in the second class. Ophelia's Inner Vocal Circle. Come and join, guys. The abdomen, now this is tricky because it's a more advanced technique, because first you have to open. Okay, first we have to open. Most people don't even breathe into the rib cage. They breathe down into the belly. And most vocal coaches only talk about the belly. And that's not effective enough. And that really came from my training with Kathy Thompson, who's not a vocal coach. She was a vocal masseuse. She's no longer alive. She studied with Ida Rolf. And I was able to integrate all of these pieces into the cold method to improve the biomechanics. So what I learned was that the diaphragm won't go down, and we can't effectively engage the abdomen correctly, but the abdomen it's not about it being soft. It needs to be in an outward position, right? So most people, when they breathe, they do this, right? Okay, when you sing, you learn not to do that, and you learn to breathe down. What we teach is really breathing into the rib cage, because there's a swing of the rib and the diaphragm is inside the rib cage, right? So when we breathe only in the belly, the diaphragm can get stuck. And there are 28 muscles that wrap around the rib cage that have to move when you breathe for that diaphragm to go down. So we want to think of this motion. Right? We want to think of the rib cage going out, the diaphragm going down, sucking air into the lungs. And then we want to retain that air. After we've made that motion, the diaphragm's gone down, brought air into the lung. We want to retain that. So this is a more advanced technique because, this is a more advanced technique because we initially first have to open. We initially first have to open the breathing. And I know it's breaking up on IG, guys. You got to come over to YouTube, which is a much more solid signal, okay? You can just flip over there right now, go to our link in bio and go onto YouTube. As I'm explaining this, the ribs have to go out, the diaphragm has to go down. We have to make room in the middle of the body. The 28 muscles that wrap around the ribs have to expand. And then when we sing, we don't want to go, ha, ha. We want to go, ah, right? So my body is resisting caving in. It's resisting pushing the air out. And the abdomen is engaged more in an outward position. A lot of coaches, I see them all the time, talking about tucking the abdomen in. This is incorrect, okay? It can cause a lot of vocal problems. I remember when Janet Jackson had her comeback tour in the 90s and she got really ripped in her abs, she had immediate vocal problems. All you guys have to do is just tighten your abdomen, tighten, you feel it here. So Ophelia, when you're saying soft, maybe whoever you were training with or whoever you were listening to on YouTube or whatever is trying to get you to not tighten the abdomen because it can cause this problem, but it's more complicated than that, if that makes sense. Yes, so, there's a lot of wear and tear on singing and singing professionally, using the instrument. You need to learn to know how to use the instrument, right? So come and join us in my Vocal Freedom Circle. I don't know when I'm going to teach it again this year. It's happening right now. Come and learn the cold vocal method, learn these biomechanics, learn how to sing correctly. You will be so grateful that you took that opportunity to do that. It's the only place I teach the entire method in depth. Each class comes with 100-page slides with diagrams and in-depth details for exactly how to do the method. There are live Q&As at every single class. This is not a pre-recorded class. This is a live class. Many programs out there are pre-recorded, and that doesn't help you because you don't have any interchange with the instructor on your voice. You can get a VIP seat and get privates with me as well to really walk you through it. So if you're ready to strengthen your core, watch me teach warm-ups, conditioning exercises, voice building, and fundamentals, come and join the Vocal Freedom Circle. This is a method, the cold vocal method taught inside the Vocal Freedom Circle is used by Grammy winners. We just started last week. Come and you can watch the replay of class 1 the minute you register and get moving. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and YouTube and hit the notification bell for when I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. I am also going live a bit more and also on YouTube. So join our list, go to our events page for our website for more information. We'll also be posting stories here on YouTube and Instagram or community notes on YouTube and stories on Instagram. And thank you so much for taking this time with me today and coming to learn about biomechanics and strengthen your voice and step into your best voice ever. The last thing I want to leave you with is, guys, until you've done a training like this, it doesn't matter how long you've been singing or how long you haven't been singing or what technique you've used in the past. This works alongside any technique. I'm working with a classical singer right now. We started working about 6 or 7 months ago. Her teacher can't believe the difference. We have unified the register shifts, strengthened her head voice actually within this technique. So this is based in bel canto from the true Italian singing techniques, but we don't use the operatic sound. But opera singers can benefit from this. So it really, any genre, any singer at any level, whether you're a hobbyist or a professional singer, come and learn this and you won't believe the difference in your voice. In just 3 months, 20 minutes a day, you will experience a transformation. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to our next live. And don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.